mayor of South Suburban Dalton, or as she calls herself, Super.
Scott, the meeting wrapped up early because two trustees, as you mentioned, did not show up. Chris Gonzalez and Carmen Carlisle. Without them, not enough board members were present to make official decisions.
It's hard to imagine a political figure facing more controversy than Tiffany Henyard, the embattled mayor of Dalton, Illinois. From allegations of corruption to eviction scandals, her name has become synonymous with chaos in the small village she governs. Just when it seemed the drama couldn't escalate any further, the FBI has stepped in, accusing her of corruption on a scale that has left residents in shock. And this is only the beginning of her latest troubles.
Turn up more and more information. They'll turn up more leads. They may turn up more witnesses. They may find a cooperator. They may find an informant, all which will benefit the investigation tremendously.
But based on what we know now, if you're Tiffany Henyard, how are you feeling?
I would be nervous.
Community's faith in local government has been shattered. The revelation has sent shockwaves through Dalton, with many residents demanding immediate accountability. Critics argue that Henyard's unchecked power and lack of oversight allowed such financial mismanagement to go unnoticed for so long. As investigators dig deeper, more details are emerging about how these funds were allegedly misused. Reports suggest lavish personal expenses, unauthorized contracts, and payments to close associates under dubious circumstances. With the FBI tightening its grip on the case, legal experts speculate that Henyard could face severe consequences, including potential criminal charges. For a town already struggling with economic hardships, the allegations feel like a betrayal of trust. Many residents, already disillusioned by past scandals, are now left wondering just how deep the corruption runs. This isn't just about mismanagement. This is how right theft, plain and simple. How are we supposed to trust our leaders when they're robbing us blind? The drastic financial downturn has only intensified calls for Henyard's resignation. Many residents are questioning where the money went and how such a massive shortfall could occur under her leadership. The alleged misuse of funds has fueled suspicions that taxpayer dollars were not only wasted, but deliberately redirected for personal gain. Community outrage has boiled over at town hall meetings, with residents demanding full transparency and immediate legal action. Some have even called for state intervention, fearing that without outside oversight, Dalton's financial crisis will only worsen. As the investigation unfolds, the pressure on Henyard continues to mount, with more people asking whether justice will be served or if this will be yet another political scandal that fades away without consequence. She's supposed to be fixing the streets, not lining her pockets. Meanwhile, calls for Henyard's resignation are growing, with residents demanding accountability and an end to what some call an era of corruption. Despite the backlash, she remains defiant, but mounting pressure and a federal investigation make her position increasingly uncertain.
Very appreciative to receive the information today. We have the best mayor ever. I've been here since 1993, and she's the best we ever had.
You know, you're doing a lot of programs, good programs for, the senior citizens, and you're doing a lot of programs for, people who are on a fixed budget. But what about the people, the blue-collar people who are still carrying this?
The timing of these revelations couldn't be worse for Henyard, as they coincide with her bold announcement to seek re-election. Yes, despite being at the center of multiple scandals, she recently declared her intention to run for another term. Instead of rallying support, however, this move has only fueled outrage among her critics. She has the nerve to ask for our votes while stealing from us, has only added to the outrage surrounding Henyard, with many questioning how someone facing eviction can be trusted to manage public funds. One Dalton resident called her re-election bid tone-deaf at best, outright delusional at worst. Critics argue that her financial troubles only highlight a pattern of irresponsibility, both personally and professionally. Despite earning a six-figure salary from her dual roles as Dalton's mayor and Thornton Township supervisor, Henyard and her boyfriend, Kamal Woods, allegedly stopped paying rent on their Dalton home in August. Their landlord, Janetta Hull, claims they owe thousands in back rent and late fees. Hull described the ordeal as a nightmare, stating that Henyard and Woods not only refused to pay, but also changed the locks to keep her out. Now she fears losing the property to foreclosure due to the unpaid rent, saying, "I have nowhere else to turn."
Not handle anything as relates to with credit cards. As you heard me speak today in my board meeting about, I do not handle that.
Some of those charges are for you, though.
No, sir.
You didn't go to Las Vegas? What is that?
The details of the eviction saga have only intensified criticism of Henyard. Hull, who once considered Henyard a friend, revealed that she reluctantly agreed to rent the home to her in 2021 after being pressured to cancel an agreement with another tenant. At the time, she believed Henyard's prominent position and substantial income made her a reliable tenant. However, that trust was misplaced. When rising property taxes forced Hull to increase the rent by just £200 earlier this year, Woods reportedly told her they couldn't afford it. Since then, payments have completely stopped, leaving Hull struggling to cover her own expenses. For someone making over $300,000 a year, this is unacceptable. Hull said she's supposed to be a leader, but she doesn't even pay her bills. Frustration in Dalton continues to mount as residents grow weary of Henyard's antics. From lavish taxpayer-funded parties to allegations of mismanagement, the list of grievances against her keeps growing. One of the most outrageous examples came earlier this year when it was revealed that Henyard had spent over £33,000 on Amazon purchases using the village's credit card. The spree included everything from decorative items to what critics called completely unnecessary luxury goods, further fueling accusations of reckless spending. "She's acting like the village is her personal piggy bank," said one trusted during a public hearing.
Yep, Ray and Mike, Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard wanted the Board of Trustees to approve some events that she wants the township to pay for, but none of the trustees showed up for this special meeting tonight. That left the meeting canceled and Henyard with the floor.
But it's not just the financial scandals that have people talking. Henyard's behavior at public meetings has also drawn widespread criticism. Over the past year, her clashes with Dalton trustees have become infamous, with meetings frequently descending into shouting matches and walkouts. One of the most outrageous incidents occurred when Henyard called the police on workers removing banners featuring her face. The banners, labeled with her self-appointed title of Super Mayor, had been put up without board approval. The vendor who created them claimed they were owed nearly £20,000 in unpaid bills. When trustees ordered the banners removed, Henyard reportedly demanded the police arrest the workers, calling the removal theft of government property. Video footage shows her arguing with officers, saying, "Press charges on them if you have to. Nobody messes with my property." The chaos escalated further when Henyard appointed a new police chief, Ronald Burge, without board approval. It was later revealed that Burge was inactive according to state law enforcement records, meaning he wasn't legally qualified to serve. The Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board even sent a letter urging Henyard to remove him, but she refused, instead accusing the trustees of undermining her authority.
For nearly 2 years on allegations of corruption surrounding Henyard in her capacity as Dalton Mayor and Thornton Township Supervisor. And now we've learned from multiple sources that federal agents are in fact interviewing witnesses as part of a possible investigation that may or may not result in charges.
Dalton is nearly paralyzed, with meetings canceled and key decisions stalled by legal battles. Frustrated residents say, nothing gets done because the leadership is too busy fighting, leaving the village in turmoil. "It's all about her," said one resident during a recent town hall meeting. "We're paying for her ego, while our streets crumble and our schools suffer." As if all this weren't enough, Henyard has also been accused of using intimidation tactics to silence critics. In a now infamous 90-minute Facebook Live rant, she threatened to have political opponents arrested, accusing them of orchestrating a smear campaign against her. "I will be seeking arrests for individuals during the broadcast," she declared. "I will be pressing charges. It's a lot, and that's just me telling you a little bit." The video quickly went viral, drawing widespread criticism as yet another example of Henyard's erratic behavior. "She's lost touch with reality. one resident commented, who threatens to arrest people for disagreeing with them. This isn't a dictatorship.
And Terrence, tonight's meeting had a much different tone than what we've experienced previously at Dalton City Council meetings. Now, the room was full of Henyard supporters, and they wanted me to be sure to tell you that they applauded for her several times as she talked about the township being in a great place financially. Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard.
The FBI's ongoing investigation into Henyard's administration has only heightened tensions. Federal agents have reportedly subpoenaed financial records from both Dalton and Thornton Township, along with documents related to Henyard's personal spending. While no charges have been filed yet, sources close to the investigation say it's only a matter of time. Despite mounting pressure, Henyard remains defiant, dismissing the allegations as politically motivated and vowing to fight back. "I have done nothing wrong," she said. "This is all part of a smear campaign by my opponent who are jealous of my success." She even went so far as to compare herself to former U.S. President Donald Trump, insisting she would win re-election in a landslide despite the controversies. "Just like Trump, I'm coming in strong," she said during a public meeting. "The people know the truth and they will stand by me."
The board do not show up. We are not able to pay bills. We are not able to handle the business.
But will they? For many in Dalton, the answer is a resounding no. Residents are fed up with what they see as a never-ending circus, and calls for Henyard's resignation are growing louder by the day. As the drama unfolds, one thing is clear: Tiffany Henyard isn't going down without a fight. Whether it's the eviction lawsuit, the FBI investigation, or backlash from her own community, she remains determined to hold on to power. But with scandals piling up, even her staunchest supporters are beginning to question how much longer she can last. With the next election just months away, the people of Dalton will soon have their say. Will Henyard's bold claims of a re-election landslide come true, or will her scandals finally catch up to her? Only time will tell.
Disturbing to hear these things or to kind of see some of the receipts that appear to be connected to it. And I think the taxpayers really deserve better.
Tiffany Henyard's rise to power wasn't just political, it was strategic and calculated, built, many argue, on a foundation of manipulation cloaked in charm. Behind the polished campaign slogans and promises of progress lies a complex story of how she clawed her way to the top, using every tool at her disposal. For those who have followed her career closely, her current legal and political troubles aren't a shock, but an inevitable outcome of years of unchecked ambition.
Gardner says he's been harassed and his business raided and shut down by Dalton police. He believes because he refused to make a donation to a civic event sponsored by Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
And I talked to a couple of agents and I explained them what was going on. I gave them all my...
Henyard's journey into politics began with bold promises and a carefully crafted image as a champion of the underdog. She positioned herself as a fresh face in leadership, vowing to revitalize Dalton and Thornton Township with youthful energy and modern ideas. But as critics later pointed out, her rise to power seemed less about serving the community and more about consolidating control. From the start, her focus was clear: dominance. One of her earliest and most controversial strategies was securing loyalty through appointments. Henyard quickly realized that placing allies in key positions would strengthen her grip on local government. She systematically replaced those who might challenge her authority with individuals who would not only support her decisions, but also shield her from accountability. This wasn't just about filling vacancies, it was about building a protective wall around herself. Trustees, department heads, and even law enforcement officials were handpicked to prioritize loyalty to Henyard over the public they were meant to serve.
To board meetings, I don't care if you agree or disagree, but you must show up to say yes or no, or vote present, but show up.
Nowhere was Henyard's push for control more evident than in her handling of the Dalton Police Department. Early in her tenure, she made it clear that she intended to take full command of law enforcement, a move that would become one of the most criticized aspects of her administration. She appointed a series of police chiefs, each more controversial than the last. Most recently, her decision to install Ronald Burge as chief sparked outrage, not just because of his questionable qualifications, but because it was yet another instance of her bypassing established procedures. Burge, whose law enforcement certification had lapsed, was handpicked by Henyard, despite objections from trustees and state officials. Critics argued his appointment was less about leadership ability and more about his willingness to follow her orders without question. This pattern of prioritizing loyalty over competence extended beyond the police department. Former assistant Carmen Carrile, who initially worked closely with Henyard, later became one of her most vocal critics. She described her time under Henyard as chaotic, alleging the mayor demanded absolute loyalty from staff, even when it meant crossing ethical lines. It wasn't about what was best for the residents, Carlisle said in an interview. It was about what was best for her. If you didn't fall in line, you were out.
Supervisor Tiffany Henyard.
Any questions that you have at all?
No, right now I'm going to give her a chance.
And this meeting comes one day after Fox 32's Dane Placco exposed what some are calling misappropriation of funds after traveling to Washington, D.C. in January for a U.S. conference of mayors, according to credit card records.
Henyard's need for control and loyalty inevitably led to clashes with the Dolton Board of Trustees. Tasked with providing oversight, the trustees found themselves increasingly at odds with her, as meetings frequently devolved into shouting matches. Henyard accused them of obstructing her vision, while they accused her of overstepping her authority. Tensions reached a breaking point when Henyard sued several trustees, claiming they were holding illegal meetings without her. The trustees fired back, accusing her of trying to block their efforts to hold her accountable. One of the most dramatic moments in this feud came during a public meeting, where Henyard arrived late and stormed out after being jeered by residents. The meeting, moved to a larger venue following an Illinois Attorney General ruling, was packed with frustrated community members. As Henyard attempted to regain control, she was met with boos and shouts. "This is an embarrassment to Dolton," one resident said. "Why won't you step down?" Visibly frustrated, Henyard blamed the trustees for the chaos and vowed to keep fighting for her position.
We've learned the FBI has been using electronic surveillance as part of its investigation. Agents are asking questions about Henyard's alleged use of taxpayer dollars and resources, including massive spending on out-of-town.
As Henyard fights to maintain her grip on power, the cracks in her administration are becoming impossible to ignore. The financial scandals alone have left many questioning her ability to govern. Beyond the allegations of embezzlement, reckless spending has fueled further outrage, with many accusing her of prioritizing her personal image over the needs of the community. One glaring example is the £33,000 she spent on Amazon purchases using the village's credit card. While some items were reportedly for public events, the lack of transparency has raised serious concerns. Trustees have repeatedly called for an independent audit, but Henyard has resisted, further fueling suspicions of wrongdoing. Her re-election campaign has only added to the controversy. Given the current state of the village, many see her decision to run as tone-deaf, even baffling some former supporters. While her slogan, "Fighting for the People," aims to project strength, many residents are now asking, who is she really fighting for?
I can tell you that I'm not the one on anything. That's all I can tell you now. So I'm just trying to answer to the
So you're saying there's a foundation that's not registered, but it has nothing to do with you?
Correct. That's true.
Okay.
That's
so you're not aware of any of the work that they've done, money that they've raised, anything along those lines?
Henyard's opponents have wasted no time capitalizing on her scandals. Trustee Jason House, who is running against her in the upcoming election, has positioned himself as the anti-Henyard candidate, vowing to restore transparency and accountability. A vocal critic of Henyard's leadership, House has gained significant support from residents frustrated with the current administration. As the election draws closer, the growing backlash against Henyard may prove to be her biggest challenge yet. "We need real leadership," House said during a campaign event, "not someone who uses their position to enrich themselves and silence their critics. Dolton deserves better." Henyard's critics extend beyond the political arena. Even her landlord, Janetta Hull, has joined the growing calls for accountability. Once a friend, Hull has become one of Henyard's most outspoken detractors since filing an eviction lawsuit against her. In a recent interview, Hull expressed frustration over Henyard's refusal to pay rent, highlighting the financial strain it has caused. For many, this lawsuit is yet another example of what they see as Henyard's disregard for responsibility, both in her personal and political life.
A misspending of tax funds. I think that's the biggest. That's the biggest concern.
As scandals continue to mount, Henyard's once ironclad grip on power is slipping. Her allies are dwindling, her opponents are gaining momentum, and investigations into her administration show no signs of slowing. Yet, Henyard remains defiant. In a recent Facebook post, she dismissed the allegations as fake news and accused critics of jealousy. "They can try to tear me down, but I'm not going anywhere," she wrote. For many residents, her words ring hollow. With the FBI investigation and eviction lawsuit progressing, the question isn't if she will step down, but when. One thing is clear: Tiffany Henyard's time at the top is running out.